Jerry, there's so much outside noise right now about what might happen here next year. I guess as players, like, how do you guys block all that out and focus on this week's stuff?
We just don't focus on it, basically. We ignore all the outside stuff because, 99% of it be wrong. So we just, focus what's in the locker room. Yeah.
I know this wasn't. I was going to say, you.
Obviously, me and Jerry had that dispute or whatever last week, but, I had faith in him. He had faith in me. And everybody put everything aside and, okay, cool, let's go out there and play ball. God forgive everybody else, so why not let's forgive each other, So that's, when you go in situations, you have no negativity, no hate on your heart, no anything, and you out there enjoying, having fun, then that's the result, you're going to be able to get, so.
The conversation around this game has been slowly drifting in one direction, and that direction feels far too convenient for everyone involved except the one person actually under the microscope. From the outside, it sounds calm, professional, even reasonable. But when you slow everything down and really listen to what was said and what was avoided, a much clearer picture starts to form. This was not a clean football loss where one player melted down and cost his team the game. This was a layered failure, spread across protection, play calling, execution, and leadership, with a quarterback left holding the bill because that is the easiest story to sell. Early on, there is acknowledgement that the quarterback made the right read and delivered a good ball. That matters. In football, that is the job. Read the defense, trust the play design, put the ball where it is supposed to be. When that happens and the play still dies, the breakdown is no longer on the quarterback. Yet the tone immediately shifts away from that reality. Instead of building from that moment and saying the offense wasted a good play, the conversation becomes vague, hollow, and strangely distant. Words like rhythm, consistency.
Jerry Jeudy just got caught saying something on camera he probably wishes he could take back. And when Shedeur Sanders stepped up to that podium and dropped his truth bomb live on TV, you could feel the tension shift in that entire room. See, while everyone's out here talking about what's going to happen next season, about who's staying and who's going, Jerry just revealed something that's got the entire Browns organization side-eyeing each other. But here's where it gets wild. Shedeur's response wasn't what anybody expected. He didn't throw shade, he didn't dodge the question. He did something that completely flipped the narrative. And when you hear what he actually said, you're going to understand why Jerry Jeudy might be feeling some type of way right about now. This ain't your regular press conference drama, bro. This is about loyalty, truth, and what really goes down when the cameras start rolling.
I was going to say, you've been around Coach Stefanski now for 2 years.
Yeah.
How have you seen him kind of handle these 2 years, and then especially, lately with all the rumors around him?
He's been the same coach since I've been here. Through the ups and downs, he never changed. He always stayed consistent, and that's all you can ask for a coach. There's never change. When things are going good, they stay the same. When things are going bad, he stay the same. So, that's great.
I mean, would you like to see him stick around?
Yeah, of course. Well, you want me to say no?
All right, look, before we dive deep into what just went down, you got to understand the context here. The Cleveland Browns are in the middle of one of the most chaotic seasons in franchise history. 3 wins, constant questions about the coaching staff, Deshaun Watson drama, and right in the middle of all this mess, you got a rookie 5th-round quarterback who's somehow become the most talked-about player on the entire roster. That's Shedeur Sanders if you've been living under a rock. But here's what nobody's really talking about: the relationship between Shedeur and his receivers, specifically Jerry Jeudy. Because when these two stepped up to those microphones after practice, something happened that's got the entire NFL media buzzing. Let me paint the picture for you. You got Jerry Jeudy, a guy who's been in this league, who's seen some things, who's been traded before and knows what it's like when a front office starts making moves. He's been around Kevin Stefanski for 2 years now. He's seen the highs and lows of this organization. And when that reporter asked him about all the noise, all the rumors about what's happening next year with the coaching staff, Jerry's response was interesting. We just don't focus on it, basically, Jerry said. We ignore all the outside stuff because 99% of it be wrong. Now, on the surface, that sounds like your typical athlete response, right? Block out the noise, focus on what's in front of you, all that good stuff. But listen to the way he said it. Listen to the tone, because when you've been covering this team like I have, you can hear what's not being said. Jeudy basically just admitted that there's so much noise, so much talk, so much speculation about what's happening with this organization that the players have had to create their own bubble just to survive. And that's not normal, bro. That's not how successful organizations operate. But here's where it gets really interesting. The reporter then pivoted and asked Jerry specifically about Kevin Stefanski, about how he's handled these 2 years, about how he's dealt with all the pressure and the rumors about his job security. And Jerry's answer? Man, it was revealing in ways I don't think he even realized. He'd been the same coach since I've been here, Jerry said. Through the ups and downs, he never changed. He always stayed consistent. When things are going good, he stay the same. When things are going bad, he stay the same.
I know this year hasn't been the easiest for you and the team. What do you think you can take from this and learn?
I learned a lot from this year, patience, just control what you can control, and just, don't let, nothing that you can't control affect your mood and your feeling and how you go about your business, just control what you control and just stick to that. Good? Thank you.
And finish strong. So that's where our...
Now let me ask you something. Is that praise or is that criticism? Because at first you hear consistent and you think, okay, that's a good thing. Players like consistency. They like knowing what to expect from their coach. But then you think about it a little deeper. When things are going bad and your coach stays the same, is that really what you want? Don't you want adjustments? Don't you want someone who's going to shake things up and try something different when the current approach isn't working? I'm just asking questions here. And then the reporter asked Jerry the question that made everyone in that room uncomfortable. Would you like to see him stick around? Jerry's response? Yeah, of course. Well, you want me to say no? Y'all, that's not an enthusiastic endorsement. That's not a player going to bat for his coach. That's a player who just got put on the spot and gave the politically correct answer because what else is he supposed to say? Nah? Fire him? Come on now. The awkwardness in that moment was thick. You could cut it with a knife. And then Jerry laughed it off with crazy, like he was trying to play it off as a joke. But we all know what just happened there. Jeudy essentially revealed that he's not necessarily married to the idea of Kevin Stefanski being his coach next year, but he's not going to be the one to say it out loud. Now here's where Shedeur Sanders comes in and completely changes the game. See, when they brought Shedeur to that podium, everyone expected the rookie to follow Jerry's lead, expected him to give some safe, generic answers about blocking out noise and focusing on the game. But Shedeur did something different, something that showed a level of maturity and awareness that most rookies don't have. When they asked him about this difficult season, about what he's learned, Shedeur didn't make excuses. He didn't blame the coaching staff. He didn't throw anyone under the bus. Instead, he said something that should make every Browns fan sit up and take notice. I learned a lot from this year. Patience. Just control what you can control. Don't let nothing that you can't control affect your mood and your feeling and how you go about your business. Now think about what he's really saying here. He's essentially acknowledging that yes, this season has been chaotic, yes, there are things outside of his control, but instead of letting that chaos consume him, instead of getting caught up in the drama and the speculation and the noise, he's choosing to focus on what he can control, his preparation, his attitude, his effort. That's veteran-level mentality from a rookie who hasn't even finished his first season yet. And here's why this matters in the context of Jeudy's comments. Shedeur just showed everyone watching that while some players might be distracted by all the organizational turmoil, while some players might be quietly questioning whether the coach should stay or go, he's locked in on getting better regardless of who's calling the plays. That's leadership, bro. But let's talk about what Kevin Stefanski said when he stepped up to the podium, because this is where things get even more interesting. When the reporters asked Stefanski about addressing his team regarding all the speculation about his job security, you know what he said? The most important thing is what's in front of us, and that's our game Sunday down in Cincinnati. That's all we care about.
What was the conversation about at the time? Was it something?
It was about a play.
Just one? Just one?
Yeah.
Do those sorts of things just happen like in the heat of a game and you just talk through it afterwards?
I mean, it's emotional sport. You know, things like that happen in football.
How do you build a quarterback's trust? Shedeur's talking a lot about trust.
Repetition.
Now, on one hand, that's Coach Speak 101. Don't get distracted by the noise, focus on the next game, all that standard stuff. But think about the timing here. His players just got done basically admitting that there's so much noise they have to actively work to ignore it. Jeudy just gave the most lukewarm endorsement possible when asked if he wants his coach back, and Stefanski's response is essentially, "We're not talking about that?" That's not leadership, that's avoidance. Compare that to what Stefanski said about Shedeur when asked about his development going into this final game. He said he wants Shedeur to continue to build on the things that he's doing really well, and that Shedeur is diligent about improving the things they ask him to work on each week. That right there tells you everything you need to know about how the coaching staff views Shedeur. They see him as coachable, as someone who takes feedback and actually applies it. And when the reporter asked if 7 starts would be enough to evaluate whether they have something special in Shedeur, you know what Stefanski said? He dodged the question entirely, said he has blinders on to the final game and that's where his focus is. But then when pressed on what he likes about what he's seen from Shedeur, he opened up. The exciting part with Shedeur and with a lot of the young players is improvement, asking them to improve on this technique or this thing that has to do with the game, and these guys being conscientious enough to put the work in. That's the exciting part of young players, is seeing constant improvement. Y'all catch that? Stefanski is basically saying Shedeur is everything you want in a young quarterback. He's coachable, he works hard, he improves every week, but he won't come out and say definitively whether Shedeur is the future because he knows his own job is on the line. Now let's connect all these dots, because this is where Jeudy might be having some regrets about what he said. Jerry's comments made it clear that the locker room is aware of all the uncertainty, made it clear that maybe not everyone is sold on the coaching staff sticking around. But then Shedeur comes in and shows that he's rising above all that drama, focusing on what he can control, being the ultimate professional. The contrast couldn't be more stark. And here's the thing. When front offices are making decisions about who to keep and who to move on from, they're paying attention to moments like this. They're watching to see who handles adversity with grace and who lets the pressure crack their composure. They're looking at who's focused on getting better versus who's focused on the politics of the situation. Shedeur just showed he's the former, and whether Jerry intended it or not, his comments might have suggested he's more focused on the latter. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Jeudy is wrong for having those feelings. This has been a brutal season for everyone involved with the Browns, and honestly, his relationship with Shedeur on the field has been one of the few bright spots. When the reporter asked about their connection and whether it sets them up well for the future, Jerry was enthusiastic. "Oh yeah, for sure. Just once we just keep having those reps with each other, we going to learn each other and we going to grow from there." That's genuine. That's real chemistry developing. And that's why this whole situation is so fascinating, because Jerry clearly values his partnership with Shedeur, but his comments about the coaching situation might have inadvertently created some tension he didn't intend to create. Think about it from Jimmy Haslam's perspective. You're the owner of this team. You're trying to figure out if you need to clean house and start over, or if you can salvage something from this disaster of a season. And you watch your veteran receiver give a lukewarm endorsement of your head coach while your rookie quarterback demonstrates poise, maturity, and leadership beyond his years. Who are you building around? Who are you trusting to set the culture moving forward? The answer becomes pretty obvious, and that's where the instant regret comes in for Jerry, because in trying to be diplomatic, in trying to walk that line between being honest and being political, he might have accidentally revealed more than he intended. Meanwhile, Shedeur came in and gave exactly the kind of answers that make front offices fall in love with you.
Each and every week, you know.
Jerry, you kind of talked about that last year, like when the frustration was kind of starting to mount, like making sure that you used it in a positive manner. I guess, is there, and obviously you mentioned football is an emotional game, but is there anything you probably would have done differently with that, sideline interaction with Shedeur, and it's kind of like that's football?
Oh yeah, for sure. Probably just what I would have done different. I probably just probably taught them off camera. You feel me? That's probably what I would have done different.
Let me also point out something else that's crucial here. When they asked Shedeur about finishing strong and building momentum going into next year, you know what he said? You want to finish the season with a win, of course. Builds up a lot of momentum going into the next year with that win, so we want to finish off strong. He's already thinking about next year. He's already thinking about building something long-term with this team. That's not a guy who's worried about whether the coach stays or goes. That's a guy who knows that regardless of who's coaching, he's going to be here and he's going to be the one leading this offense. Meanwhile, Jerry's comments seemed more focused on the present uncertainty than on the future potential. And again, that's not necessarily wrong, it's just a different mindset, but it's a mindset difference that front offices absolutely notice. Here's another angle to consider. The media is going to spin this however they want. They're going to try to create division where there isn't any. They're going to try to make it seem like Jerry and Shedeur are on different pages, like there's tension in the locker room, like this team is falling apart. But if you actually listen to what both guys said, that's not the case at all. Jerry has nothing but positive things to say about playing with Shedeur. Shedeur demonstrated nothing but professionalism and maturity. The only regret Jerry might have is that his comments about the coaching staff could be misinterpreted as him not being fully committed to the organization. And in today's NFL, where everything is analyzed and dissected and turned into content, that perception matters. Fair or not, that's the reality. So what's the bottom line here? Jerry Jeudy gave honest answers to difficult questions, and in doing so might have revealed more about the internal dynamics of the Browns organization than he intended. Shedeur Sanders, meanwhile, demonstrated the kind of leadership and maturity that makes you understand why so many people believe he's special. The instant regret isn't about Jerry saying something terrible or throwing anyone under the bus. It's about the contrast between his responses and Shedeur's responses, and how that contrast might be perceived by the people making decisions about this franchise's future. And if I'm Jerry Jeudy, I'm probably wishing I could rewind that press conference and match Shedeur's energy, because in the NFL, perception is reality, and the perception right now is that Shedeur Sanders handled that moment better than just about anyone else in that building. Look, at the end of the day, this is a reminder that everything you say in front of those cameras matters. Every word, every tone, every facial expression gets analyzed. And sometimes, even when you're trying to say the right thing, the way you say it can create a narrative you didn't intend. Jerry Jeudy is a talented receiver who's building great chemistry with Shedeur Sanders. That's a fact. But his comments about the coaching situation, however understandable given the chaos of this season, might have inadvertently created some questions about where his head is at. Meanwhile, Shedeur came in and reminded everyone why he's different, why he's special, why despite all the noise and all the drama, the Cleveland Browns might have actually found their franchise quarterback in the 5th round. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Jerry Jeudy is regretting those comments? Do you think Shedeur handled that press conference perfectly? And most importantly, do you think Kevin Stefanski should be back next year, or is it time for the Browns to make a change? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a real conversation about this, because this story is far from over. And if you've been rocking with me through this whole journey, if you appreciate the way we break down these situations without the BS, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because we're going to keep bringing you the truth, the context, and the analysis that the mainstream media won't give you. The Cleveland Browns are at a crossroads. What happens next is going to define this franchise for years to come, and you better believe we're going to be here covering every single moment. Let's get it.